Dear students, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we'll be discussing the various types of assessments. Kindly watch the video till the end, like it and subscribe the channel, share among your friends. Now, let's move to the presentation. So before we start understanding the various types of assessments, first let us know what is an assessment. An assessment is nothing but the procedure of computation of the total income and ascertaining the tax liability of an assessee. Say for example, during the course of the computation of the income from all the 5 heads such as income from salary, income from house property, income from business or profession, capital gain, and income from other sources are to be considered, and the various deduction under section 80C to 80U should be considered for arriving at the total income. Then by applying the slab rates applicable to the relevant assessment year, the tax liability is to be calculated. Now let us look into the various types of assessments. So we have got 5 types here: self-assessment, then assessment on the basis of return, then regular assessment by the assessing officer under section 143 subsection 3, reassessment or income escaped assessment, protective or precautionary assessment. Now let us discuss the self-assessment here. As the name itself indicates, here the self-assessment means the assessment is made by the assessee himself by computing the total income and the tax liability. So in arriving at the tax liability, he is going to consider the advance tax paid by him and any amount of the tax deducted at the source. He has to provide the proof of the payment of advance tax along with the return, so that it will ensure that such an assessee has paid the tax in advance. If an assessee fails to submit the self-assessment and pay the tax as per self-assessment, he will be called as the assessee in default. Such an assessee has to pay interest or the penalty for such delay along with the tax liability. So if a particular assessee who has opted for the self-assessment and if he fails to file the return of income and pay the tax within the stipulated time, then the penalty will be attracted towards him. Then the next one comes here: assessment on the basis of return. When a return has been filed by an assessee either voluntarily under section 139 or on the receipt of the notice under section 142 subsection 1, such an assessment will be called as assessment on the basis of return. Such an assessment is made without requiring the assessee to produce evidences in the support of his return, is also known as a summary of assessment. That means here the assessee, in case of the compulsory assessment, the assessee will not be given any scope to provide further to produce evidences to prove his income. So if any tax or interest is found on the basis of the return, an intimation shall be sent to such an assessee specifying the sum so payable by him. Similarly, if any refund is due to him on the basis of such return, it shall be granted to the assessee and intimation to this effect shall be sent to the assessee. Suppose the assessment is made is appropriate, then the acknowledgement of such return shall be deemed to be an intimation under this section where no sum is payable by the assessee or no refund is due to him here. That means here whatever the tax liability that is calculated is correct. In such case, the acknowledgement for the filing of the return of income itself indicates that he should pay such amount of the tax. Then the next one comes here: regular assessment under section 143 subsection 3 here by the assessing officer. It means assessment is made on the basis of the evidence or best judgment assessment. So we can classify this assessment into 2 types. One is assessment on the basis of evidence under section 143B, and the assessment on the basis of the best judgment assessment. Now let us look into the assessment on the basis of evidence under section 143b. The assessing officer has to verify the correctness and completeness of the return filed by the assessee to ensure that the income has not been understated or loss declared is not excessive or tax has not been underpaid. Here, the assessing officer he will verify whether the provisions of the act have been complied while computing the total income and paying the tax liability here. If this is a case found, he serves a notice to such an assessee either to attend his office or to produce necessary evidences with the assessing officer. Here the notice is served to such an assessee who has either understated his income or overstated his income or who has underpaid the tax. Such an assessee will be served with a notice, and the notice will mention him the date on which he should attend before the assessing officer or to produce the necessary documentary evidences in order to prove his income. The assessing officer has to make an assessment of the total income or loss of the assessee after taking into account all the relevant materials provided by the assessee, and he has to determine the sum payable by him or a refund of any amount due to him on the basis of such a assessment. That means here, once a notice has been served by the assessing officer to the assessee will produce the various documents in order to justify the income which is stated in his return of income. So all those documents will be, all those evidences will be considered, and the income will be recomputed, and based on the tax liability is determined. Now let us look into the next one here, best judgment assessment. Here in this process, in the process of making assessment of assessee, the assessing officer calls for the information through notices from such an assessee to know the correct income or the loss of the assessee. If the notice is ignored by the assessee here, in such case, the assessee fails to comply with the notice, the AO has wide powers to deal with such cases. This type of assessment is also called as ex parte assessment. In this type of assessment is made when the assessor does not cooperate with the assessing officer, and the assessing officer, in the absence of the information, proceeds with the finalization of the income. A sufficient time will be given to the assessee to produce the necessary documentary evidences in order to justify the income which is stated by him in the return filing. If the assessee fails to do so, in such case, the assessing officer has to carry out the assessment based on his knowledge, ability, or the judgment of the assessing officer here. Then, while making the assessment, the assessing officer he gains the knowledge on the basis of the previous return filed by him, or the local knowledge or the reputation of the firm enjoyed, and other circumstances, and based on he is going to determine the tax liability of the assessee. So it is a discretionary of the assessing officer for conducting the assessment. So he looks after the reputation of the firm enjoyed in the previous years, and based on the return that is filed by such an assessee in the previous years, so based on that he is going to carry out the assessment and thereby determines the tax liability here. Then the next one comes here, a reassessment or income escaped assessment. If the assessing officer has a reason to believe that any income chargeable to tax has escaped for any assessment year, he may assess or reassess such an income. So this kind of assessment is carried out under section 147 here. But such a reassessment should be completed within 4 years from the end of the relevant assessment year if the income escaped is less than rupees 1 lakh. Otherwise, it will be 6 years if the income escaped is more than rupees 1 lakh. Suppose if it is the income from the assets which are situated outside India and in such case it should be completed within 16 years from the end of the relevant assessment year. So no income can be escaped, no income earned by the say can be escaped for the assessment year. So there is a purpose here. Now let us move to the next one here, the protective or precautionary assessment. When the ownership of the income is under dispute, or it may not clear who has earned income, in such a situation, an assessing officer assesses that income in the hands of all the persons as a precautionary measure. Here sometimes, say for example, when it is not possible to ascertain that who has actually earned the income. Suppose, say for example, if the income is earned by the minor and the guardian, or if say for example, if the income earned by the partnership and whose share is not clear, in such case the income will be treated as earned by all and assessment will be carried. It is done to ensure that when dispute is finally settled, the assessment of such income should not get time barred, as only one assessment will stand or other will be cancelled here. So it will be assessed as a whole, and later on it will be taken as the income earned by one of the earners, and remaining will be treated as a cancelled assessment here. Thank you very much for watching this video.